He didn't even look me in the eye when he said it. "You don't deserve to be here. You're just a dropout who got lucky. You don't understand modern logistics." His voice was even clinical, almost sterile, like he wasn't insulting me, just stating a fact. And somehow, that made it worse. I didn't argue, didn't beg. I simply smiled, said nothing, and began packing my things. Silence was my parting gift. But inside, I was already replaying the last decade, rewinding all the way back to the moment I made the mistake of bringing my wife's younger brother into the company. He'd just graduated, zero real-world experience, full of theories and ambition, parading around in suits that cost too much and fit too poorly. But I saw potential. I brought him in, trained him, gave him access to everything I had, my network, my investors, my blueprint. I invited him into my home, sat across from him at Sunday dinners, laughed at his forced jokes, raised my glass at every promotion he received. Promotions built off my foundation. And then, the moment he got a taste of power, he cut me loose like I was obsolete. No one batted an eye, not even family. My wife told me to let it go. "He's just young," she said. "He looks up to you." But she was wrong. He never looked up to me. He looked past me. And that's when it clicked. This wasn't personal to him. It was strategy. A move on a board he thought only he could see. So I made it personal. It began with silence. I disappeared. No confrontation. No legal threats. No angry phone calls. Just vanished. He assumed I crawled away, licking my wounds. That was his first mistake, because while he was busy moving ships, I was shifting land. 12 years ago, I made a quiet investment in the port yards. Everyone thought I was out of my mind. The ports were dying, they said. A bureaucratic nightmare. Outdated. But I had a different vision. So I poured time and money into them. I modernized every inch. Automated logistics, built relationships with unions, rewired the Russ into something efficient, seamless, powerful. I turned decay into dominance. And now, every single container in his fleet touched my docks before it could leave the country. He didn't know that. Not until the delays started. First, it was a technical issue. Then labor interruptions. After that, his biggest clients began calling, demanding answers. Why were shipments sitting idle for 48, sometimes 72 hours? Why were high-priority goods suddenly flagged for inspection? The logistics chain he'd built, my logistics chain, was choking him, inch by inch. A week later, I received an email. One line, "Did you have anything to do with this?" I let it sit in my inbox for 24 hours. Then I replied, "I don't understand modern logistics." He was floundering, and I hadn't even started yet. I knew every vulnerability. I had built the framework his success stood on. I knew where he cut corners, which vendors resented him, which regulatory officers he had once wooed over lunch meetings and empty promises. So I began pulling strings, quietly, surgically. I tipped off inspectors, not with lies, but with directions, pointers. I bought billboard space near the offices of his most high-value clients. Time is money. Why weigh at the wrong port? My logo smiled beneath those words like a knife sheathed in silk. His earnings plummeted 27% in a single quarter. His board grew restless. Whispers began to surface. He started making mistakes, the kind desperate men make when they think they're still in control. He rerouted shipments, thinking he could outsmart the system. What he didn't realize was that the only inland transfer hub within a profitable radius. I own that too. I tripled the rates. No negotiation. He paid. He had no choice. Then I made another quiet acquisition through a holding company. Of course, I purchased a logistics firm that handled his customs documentation. Within 2 weeks, his paperwork started slipping. Signatures missing, forms delayed, records incomplete. His entire fleet slowed to a crawl. Meanwhile, the industry was buzzing, but not about him. About me. The confrontation came sooner than I anticipated. He barged into my office, not the one people see, not the polished showroom space, but the real one, where the maps and manifests lived, where things actually happened. He looked like a man unraveling. sweat soaking through his overpriced shirt, breath ragged beneath cheap cologne. "You did this," he hissed. I didn't even glance up from the stack of shipping manifests. "No idea what you mean." "You sabotaged my company," he snapped. I leaned back slowly, lacing my fingers together. "Your company depends on my ports. You just never thought to ask who owned the land beneath your empire." He froze. The realization hit like a slow avalanche. First confusion, then clarity, then devastation. "You fired me the day you made yourself CO. I said, voice low, told me I didn't belong, that I got lucky." His mouth opened. I raised a hand and cut him off. "I built this, every inch. While you were chasing titles, I was buying the ground you're standing on." Then I dropped the folder on the desk, thick, embossed, heavy with ink and signatures. His board had been quietly negotiating with me for weeks. They were done with him. The delays, the scandals, the bleeding profits. They wanted stability, control, and I was offering it, not as a puppet, as owner. He opened the folder. His hands trembled as he read the transfer agreement, page after page. His signature was nowhere to be found, but mine was. That was the moment, the crack in his face, the illusion shattered. The arrogant child finally seen the chessboard for what it had always been. "I'm your boss now," I said. "Pack your things." He left the way I had nearly a year earlier. Silent, alone, no applause, no handshakes, just footsteps and the hollow way to failure. When I told my wife, she didn't argue. She just stared at the divorce papers. I had given her a choice: stand beside the man who exposed her brother's illusion, or cling to the brother who dismantled our trust. She signed without a word. Sometimes late at night, I walked the docks alone. The lights cast long reflections on the water. Cranes move like ancient giants in rhythm, and the sea air hums with life. Every container that unloads now unloads on my terms. Every ship that arrives bows, in some small way, to the choices I made. He underestimated me. He thought power came from degrees, from boardrooms, from barking orders across polished tables. But real power waits. It watches, and when it moves, it doesn't shout. It simply arrives and changes everything.